Hello and welcome to Coffee and Catholics, a Catholic women's talk show podcast. I'm Stacy, one of your hosts, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Alicia.
I'm Annie.
And I'm Lauren.
Hello and welcome to Coffee and Catholics. This week we're going to be talking about technology and kind of disconnecting from some of that.
So all of us, I'm sure, well, certainly I can only speak for the three humans in front of me, have felt like this interior and internal struggle with technology use and not letting it control us and just eat our time away. And millions of hours of podcasts and books have been written about how to do this and the role of technology and how it's influencing our children and us. I mean, the information is replete. It is everywhere. And we're all really kind of worried about it, honestly, as moms, as humans, about what's going on and how, to what is a responsible relationship with technology. And our family, a few years back, my husband and I, a few years back, decided to get rid of our smartphones for a lot of reasons, which I won't go into. And this was just a completely personal decision on our part, and every family is different. So I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just going to let me issue that caveat right there. We're not suggesting that everyone should give up their smartphones, but for us, we just wanted to do almost like an experiment to see, if it really could be done in today's world to be without a cell phone. And we're about 4 or 5 years into this, and we still don't have smartphones, and it is inconvenient. I will tell you that from time to time. And we still find ways to abuse technology, even though we don't have smartphones. Just let you guys know that. It's because we're human beings and we live in the tech age. But I will tell you this, that the impulse to check and the notifications and the dings and the buttons and the buzzes, that alone has been a real freedom giver to be without that. There is something that happens when somebody gets an idea, I wonder if this or that, if I did this, then I wonder if there's something out here for this, or, the things you go to Google where you're like, ooh, or let me check that or look that up. There's this space between the wondering if it exists and the immediate check to see if it is that we've lost. And it's a really valuable space between thinking about something and having it validated immediately. And so that's what it's been given back to us is this this pause between immediately looking something up and getting the answer that I'm looking for and just thinking with it and sitting with it for a little bit. That's been very good for us. And I'm just introducing this a little bit as a more broader topic about what are the ways that, technology binds us and how can we retain our freedom from it. And someone told me early in this experiment when I was explaining the frustrations that go along with giving up smartphones, they said something to me and it just really stuck with me. And I was saying, it is inconvenient, because at the time the smartphones didn't have GPS and they do now. Or the dumb phones, that you can buy. But they do have all that because they've been developing even in the last 5 years. But it's just in the beginning when they didn't have apps on them. And I was talking about how inconvenient that was, and the cameras weren't as good back then. And with the dumb phones they are now. They're getting with But she said something to me. She said, but maybe, this person I was talking about these struggles with said to me, maybe the price of freedom is inconvenience. And it just really stuck with me. And I have almost become like a motto of this journey in our family is inconvenience is worth it for freedom.
Yeah. I really love that. I know that that's something that I struggle with is not wanting to be inconvenienced. It's just so much easier. This, that, the other. But that seeing that is that inconvenience, that's the price of freedom. Seeing that the freedom that your family has experienced in that. And I know it's hard we've talked about this a lot. We keep our little group keeps together through Facebook Messenger, and that's not something that you have on your dumb phone. And we talked about moving it to text messages or something, but then when we lose our gifts and our love language in our group,
we gotta have our
that's not something. That is not worth the price of freedom. Apparently,
we decided to be bound in our gifts. Yeah, we decided we didn't want freedom, that we would just have to deal with me not being around as much because we had to have the memes and the funny pictures, because that is the only way that we truly express our love for each other in our group. So again, you just make there's trade-offs.
So Lauren, can you tell us some of this is specifically how it works? I know you're in school, you homeschool your kids are how does it work for you? How do you still do the technology that you need to have, but also have the dumb phones? What is it? What do you do? Let's say what process to do these things, to make it work?
Well, first of all, okay, so let's start at the beginning, and I don't want to just make it all about what we've done, because I know that you guys have beautiful insights too on this process. But I do think someone just speaking practically about how they've made it happen has been helpful. The biggest challenges at first were GPS, being able to use the GPS to get places, that kind of thing. And then apps that our kids needed for sports and things like that were a problem, because those run off of the internet. In the beginning, when we started this the dumb phones that we got, they are smartphone enabled, but it's turned off and they take the browser off, so you can't use them as a smartphone. Okay, so it looks exactly like an Android, like somebody else's Android that's a smartphone. But so we had to figure that piece out. So we ended up getting actual GPS systems for our cars, so that they would always
have a TomTom back in the day.
We ended up buying one of those really expensive GPS systems, so that solved that problem. But then we had the whole apps problem for the kids that we had to solve. And luckily, these phones have evolved to where now all of those apps, like, for example, the Band app, GroupMe, all of those, these dumb phones can do now. Okay. And so we've been dialoguing with this company that we've been with for 5 years, because they are pretty much the same age as when we started this. So we've really kind of done our whole journey with them. And we're always texting them and emailing them and saying, hey, fix this, or hey, have you thought about adding that? Because they've been on this journey with us, and these phones that we use are supposed to be for kids. So there's, they were designed for kids, and we use them as adults. And I think that company had not envisioned that was going to happen, that adults were going to want to do this too. And so this is kind of the development of this has been so cool to watch. So I say all that to say this: it's getting much easier now than it was to give up the smartphone. It's easier now. The addiction to it is the hardest part, and once you cut the ability to even hold it in your hand, a lot of that goes away. And it's this freedom to think, and this freedom to exist outside of constant feedback from the world, the freedom to be in the moment without feeling like I have to take a picture and post it or it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because that's my thing. I love to post about people and my kids and all the things. And now I can't really do that anymore. And I do it through my computer, but not nearly like I used to, because I don't have the technology in hand to do it. And mostly it's other people that are annoyed by our lack of technology too. Like family members are like, well, why can't you this? Or why can't I this with you? And I'm like, well, I don't have that enabled on my technology. And they're like, and they just can't believe that adults wouldn't have smartphones. They're like, what? And we've explained this is why, but that not everybody is on that. Not everybody is worried about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, and our priest has been doing a lot of homilies on smartphones and technology and our addiction to it. But he said that he tried to go get rid of his a couple of years ago, and that it just wasn't feasible for him because as a priest, you need to get when somebody needs to get hold of you, they need to get hold of you then. So while he enjoyed not having it, he also realized he needed it to do his job more effectively. And so what he's done now is he has controls on his smartphone that another priest friend has the password to, and he doesn't know the password. So his phone shuts off from certain, the functions on his phone, like his apps and stuff. He can't use them from certain times. So it's like he might be doing something, and then at 8 o'clock, he can't do that anymore until 9 o'clock the next morning or whatever. And so that way he's not distracted by it, and he doesn't have control over not being distracted by it either. So it's a way for him to kind of check himself and it's an accountability type of a thing. So then he limits, and he also doesn't get on other times. But she said, he has more sleep, he has more prayer time, he has all these things that we all say we need. He's getting in because he has these set parameters. So if you have a spouse, you have a perfect accountability partner. They go in and you set the settings for them, and then he says if he ever needs to change the settings, he meets with that person and tells them why he needs it changed, and then they go in and change it for him. And so he's it's just
a really workable solution. And we're so blessed now because we do have these limiting and these app timers that can do these things for us. And I think it's only going to get easier as we go if enough people are committed to these type of limits.
Yeah, I considered that doing that with on my phone. My husband and I have some of that stuff set up, but I have a time limit on Facebook for myself. And my kids pointed out, they're like, "Why do you have that if you just put in a password and put in another 15 minutes or another hour all the time?" I was like, yeah, I should probably not do that. Because I have it so I think about it. But I still make that decision to extend the time. But if I have somebody else who has that password set up, and if I want to extend that time, I have to say, "Hey, hubby, I need to be on Facebook for another hour." No, or something do you really?
Yeah.
Do you really?
And because I was doing that too. I would try before I tried all the whole just limit the app or it clicks off at this time, and I would just go right up in there and just add time to it because you're in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And it has,
and it's not always bad. It's all can be good things. You could be having a conversation with somebody that actually matters, not just being angry at people on Facebook. Or we have business things that need to be done on Facebook or on other social media stuff. It's all good things, but then they're kind of sidetracked so often by the other things that are on there. So I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you, Lauren.
No, I'm just nodding in agreement. It's such an incredible tool. It's done so much good for the world. Just personally, I think we just have to be so careful with it in our personal lives.
Well, you're talking about going on for work and things, and then staying on because you're trying to get the work done. It reminded me of a story. I'm trying to remember who told me this story. It could have been here on the podcast, or it could have just been a friend. I don't even remember. But they talked about how they went on a retreat and a monastery. And when the bells rang, they had been watching this monk cleaning the wall. And that was his job for the day. He was power washing this wall. And when the bell rang to do the next thing, he just stopped his work and went to the next thing. The work wasn't finished, but he stopped it because that was the time to stop that work. And when he's supposed to come back to it later, he'll come back to it. But when it was time to stop that, they had disciplined enough that work time was work time, and prayer time was prayer time, and eating time was eating time, and when it was that time for that task to be done, they stopped and moved on to the next thing. And I remember that I did some of that, and I was doing really well. And what I've noticed is social media has also changed. Like Facebook, when I was doing really well with that, it's not the same Facebook as it is now. Like there were not all these videos and reels and everything else. And there wasn't all this advertisement on my news feed that I didn't want there. It was just my friends and there's things that were there. And I mean, that was bad enough, but then now there's all these other distractions on social media on top of the good distractions, like my friends or my groups or things like that were already a problem. Now there's all these like videos to watch, and like, oh, it's just really short. I'll just watch this one video. Oh, it's the one after that. And what's the one after that? And then all this
system is set up.
Yeah.
To I mean, like they're called reels, like
to reel you in.
Reels, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like.
And it doesn't help that it's curated, right? It watches what you watch, and it gives you more of the stuff that makes you laugh.
Yes.
So every day you're going in there to get you dopamine. Because those kitties that sing funny songs, you're like, that's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. And you're watching like 20 minutes of cats singing, and then you lift your head up and you're like, what's happened?
Yeah. Well,
for me, it's the other moms who are stressing.
It doesn't help that I know that everybody's probably be like, well, Stacy's a conspiracy nut now. But when the technology listens, because we bought.
Oh, that's not a conspiracy. That's the thing.
Well, so everybody's gonna hear this now. But we bought a pool table. It was an auction, so it was not the full price pool table. But we have a pool table now. I did not like go on and tell Facebook that I bought a pool table. I didn't do anything else. But I've talked about it with other friends out loud. Guess what my ads for the next several weeks were on Facebook? Billiards things, like balls, the cues, and a pool table. Just because I've been talking about it. I know everybody's like, oh, it's not really happening. But it is. It's proven. Yeah. So, like, yeah. So I'm like, when all these things that you talk about in your daily life start being advertised, like my kids even mentioned the other day, yeah, Mom, when we got on the tablet to do our math, the advertisement was there before we asked you to put in the password so we could get onto our math, was advertising for your vegan cheese, because I can't eat real cheese anymore. So they're taking these algorithms and they're like making these things, like you were saying, catered to you. So it's even more important now to figure out what our boundaries are with technology, because, I mean, obviously we live in a tech world. I mean, here we are on Zoom tonight because the roads are not passable, and recording a podcast for people to listen. This is technology that we're doing right now. And so, but each of us has to come up with boundaries, just like with any relationship. With people in our lives, there's boundaries that we have to set up so that there can be healthy relationships. So what's the healthy working relationship that we set up with technology? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Because it's a tool.
And I think we're not getting away from the tech world. We're not getting less technological. That isn't going to happen.
Right.
We have to be able to exist in society. We should use it to our benefit. Yeah. Like, it's kind of nice to have ads curated to you so you know where to find things. That's wonderful. I mean, and, if it's used properly, that's a great thing. And I think when we say tech, like, oh, the evil, big, bad tech industry, we're the ones who built this thing up.
Yeah.
Like, our thing that we've made. I think for me, it's about taking back personal space and the impulses, like controlling the impulses that come in my way. Kind of like microaggressions against technology. Does that make sense? Like, how can I aggressively push back to give my mind more space or my heart more freedom? Like, in what ways can I limit it? Since I know I have to use it in this way, this way, this way, and this way.
Yes.
What can I do? What can I give up? Not so much, oh, it's so hard, but like, what little thing could I do to pull more space in? Or what rule could I have? Or what setting could I I think just like you said, having those conversations, because you will not meet God unless it is in silence. And if there's constant buzzing and, advertising, if there's no quiet in our life, it will be very difficult to get to know him, to hear from him, to encounter him, to see him working. If we're always interpreting life through a screen. And I just want to say one more thing. There is a new book out called Reclaiming Quiet by Sarah Clarkson. And she talks a lot about this in her book in a really fresh and kind of new way about what it is that's beautiful and good about technology, but also why we have to fight for quiet in our life as mothers, even what that even looks like. And it's just a profoundly beautiful book. I'm enjoying it so much. About the power of imagination and why it's so important that we have that space in our head, these little worlds that we kind of create and live in. That's where our soul is, like these places where they're inside of us that get just pushed off for the instancy, the immediate gratification of technology. And so I recommend that book if anyone's just wanting to start exploring the idea of boundaries and limits with technology. I think it's a really good one that integrates faith into it in a way that isn't just annoying or preachy or, anything like that.
One of the ones that I've seen recently, there's like some challenges, like Detox digital fast challenges. One's by Darren Whitehead. And I feel like there's a digital detox book. I have a friend of mine who read it. She was wanting to do some detoxing or limiting of technology for her preteen.
The digital fast, 40 days to detox your mind and reclaim what matters most.
Yep, that's it. Whitehead. Yep. So they're both, I was like, I figured it was the same author, but yeah. But there's like a little challenge workbook for a 28-day challenge, and then there's the book too. But she said it was excellent. She really enjoyed reading that one. I haven't personally read it.
I know that I've spoken before in the past about the Magnify 90 that I've done a few times, and then the guy, my husband, I don't know how many years now he's done Exodus 90, and it's not been like we give up our smartphone, like everything all together, but it's only what's actually necessary. And so it makes you really have to think about, is what I'm doing necessary? Something that I like that I don't know what other phones, I only know their iPhone, do this, but like one of the things that I know that a lot of the smartphones now are able to do is that you can change your screen so that it's it's the monochromatic, like a black and white or something. So it's not as you're not going and like you see the colors of the apps that you use, like it or like it distract you so much, and like you click on that, because you're used to seeing that, or like even when you're looking at websites, it's not that like the ads aren't the flashy things and stuff, but like being able to change it to not being in color has been really helpful. It's one of those that I turn it on I do that for a little bit and then I turn it off because it really starts bothering me. But I'm going back to that, what you shared with us, Lauren, that like maybe the price of freedom is the inconvenience of doing that. Like if that, maybe there's actually, like if that has helped me not go on this stuff, even though it bugs me to no end, like it like really bothers me to see it that way. That inconvenience of seeing things that were like having my screen like that is the price I need to pay for not being on, like not to retrain my brain, to not be going to the different videos for that dopamine hit,
I think it's so personal. Everybody's got to really think about how it's how they're using their time with it, what they have a problem with and what bothers them, and how I think it's a long process. It was for us. And we're still navigating that. Like we're still trying to figure out how much screen time for kids. Are video games better than TV? Like there's all these things you just you have to like figure out. And I think it just boils down to this. It's like, how much can I save for God? How much can I keep back for Him? I wonder if it maybe reframing it like that instead of what all do I need to give up with technology?
Yeah.
Maybe saying, what can I reclaim? What can I do? What can I save away from technology? Maybe like this hour every day, or this. Maybe I don't keep my phone on me. Maybe I keep it in the other room. Like you have to figure all that out on your own.
I mentioned in another episode that we recorded tonight that I just finished reading the book The Father's Tale by Michael O'Brien, and in that the character, I forgot to look and see when this is actually based on. It's like supposed to be the present time at that present time or something that he wrote or something. I don't know, but the main character doesn't even have like an answering machine. And then, so obviously he wouldn't have it. There's no cell phone or anything there. But he's traveling and not having it. And the things he's going through, there's part of me that's like, well, that would have been so much easier, to have done if in this day where we have cell phones. But then there's other times where he's in places where there wouldn't have been cell phone service, even if, it would have been, it was completely cut off anyways. There wasn't phone service. But anyways, but the things that he's doing and the things he's experiencing and the beauty that it's describing is there's a part where he's interacting with a teenage and a young boy, two boys, and doing going hiking with them and doing. It was like, how much do we lose when we don't just experience these things, when we're saying, oh well, I want to take a picture of this view, I need to have my phone with me so I can take a picture. Or, or when I don't know where we're going to be going. Let me make sure, let me follow the GPS and make sure we get to the exact right spot, rather than kind of letting that trail take us where it may. We've definitely lost a lot of that. And I know we've tried to do at least every couple of years or so, have a trip where we go and we're disconnected. When we're camping or, just out of when we're on a retreat as a family where we don't have the cell phones, we don't answer, we just put them away unless there's an emergency. And I know that it's always been really, really good for our family, but we haven't had that in a while. And oh man, maybe we just need to do that. I just need to do that at home. Just need to say, okay, well, we're just going to have a weekend where we don't have cell phones all weekend. We don't have TV. We don't have any of it. So, who knows? We're getting closer to Lent. That's definitely something that will be on my mind. But what are we reclaiming through that? What beauty are we trying to reclaim? What interactions between our kids? What am I teaching my kids? How am I wanting them to see the world?
Ironically, I saw this on social media, but there is a priest who's carrying around. His whole point was he was carrying around a crucifix while he's walking up the stairs and he's looking at it. He's looking at it while he's getting his hair cut. He's looking at it while he's in his office. He kind of has his finger on it too, just kind of touching it. And the point was, what would our life be like if we chose just one day to replace our phone with Christ, to look at him as much as we look at our phone for one day? How much? I think that's kind of what we've been saying, is it's a personal thing that we all need to figure out what those boundaries are, what our necessities are, because we do live in a technology-driven world, but what space we're going to create, but how much time are we going to dedicate to turning back towards Christ? I think is what is kind of the message there, is how much time are we going to dedicate towards the gifts that Christ has given us, our family, our, quiet with him, just those things that he's given us, and appreciating those, and with gratitude and time and the respect of putting aside the phone for a little while so we can enjoy them the way he intended them to be.
So, let us know what you're thinking of in your life, and maybe tools that you've discovered too, in limiting your own technology or in pushing back a little bit against those impulses to try to create space in your life. This is not a journey we're going to stop going on. We're all going to be doing this all the time together, trying to find ways to reclaim our life and our interior life with God, kind of snatch it back from the clutches of immediacy and try to bring it back into a place of meditation and contemplation. Share with us your tips and your tricks, and we'll keep on sharing ours with you as we go on this journey together.
And as always, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Join us again in about 2 weeks.
Until then, may God bless you and may Mary accompany you.
Coffee and Catholics is a proud partner of the Smart Catholics Podcast Network. Find new shows to love, meet like-minded Catholics, and join the community at smartcatholics.com.